Hello there, my name is Skull and welcome to part 4 of the Dragon Age Tabletop RPG tutorial series. In this video I'll be talking about combat. I was going to use a sword, but I don't have it, I have to use my fists, so oh well. Combat has been present in all the Dragon Age games to date, and in a tabletop RPG, combat can happen usually when the GM decides that it could happen due to player decisions, or just the GM deciding that this group should attack the players, or whatever, or anything else really. When combat starts, the GM needs to announce that every player has to roll for initiative in the most badass way they could do it. Usually in a loud voice. That's only an option. You don't have to do it. You say roll initiative and everyone will roll that. When that has been announced, every player must roll their dice and add their dexterity to the roll plus the initiative focus if they have it, and announcing that number they rolled to the GM. And this is not just to every player, even the GM has to roll initiative for every character that's participating as an NPC, quote unquote. The GM would then mark down the initiatives in order, the highest number to the lowest number, descending order. If there's a tie, the tiebreaker would then be, in this case, if I'm correct by my knowledge, the tiebreaker would be the dragon die. If it's still a tie, in that case, the dexterity modifier will be a tie. If that is still a tie again for the third time, then instead tiebreaker will just be they would go simultaneously and act at the same time. The character with the highest initiative, once all the initiative markers have been written down, the character with the highest initiative will go first, and they will take their turn. Once they finish their turn order will pass to the next person, and so on and so forth until you go to the last person on the turn order. And once they take their turn, if combat is still going, of course, you go back to the highest initiative person and continue going down. Initiative, give heads up, the turn order could be changed a bit depending on certain actions, so do keep that note. So, and also to remind you guys, every round in combat in Dragon Age consists of 15 seconds total. So essentially, once all the characters have taken their turn, and when a new round begins, 15 seconds have passed, which will be important for particular spellings and rules for like magic and some abilities or times, specifically, etc., etc. But let us now go to what a character can do on their turn. Every character in combat can do either a major action or a minor action, and a minor action, or they can do two minor actions on their turn. Essentially, a major action can be substituted for a minor action, but not two together, for example. Once you've taken both those actions, or if you decide to end your turn, then the turn will go on. Major actions are large actions that will be used a lot in combat. Essentially, these are big actions that you can do that give you good benefits or helpful benefits, and minor actions are small things you can do, which will consist of moving, maybe activating an ability, readying stuff, etc. I'm going to be going through all these actions right now to give you a general an idea how they work and what you can do on your turn. On the right side of the screen, there will be the actions shown described in better detail, so you guys can get a better idea how it works. Let's start with major actions. The most common action you can do is the attack action, which is split into either ranged or melee attacks. Melee attacks allow you to attack within 2 yards or an adjacent target, while ranged attacks allow you to attack an enemy within range, but you have to use the weapon. But it's specific towards the weapons. Some weapons have like about 20 yards of range, others might have 10. Depends on what you're using. When you do an attack action, you must make an attack roll, which is an ability test that is based on the weapon you're using, so which depends either on strength, dexterity, and you get to add the weapon's focus if you have that weapon group's focus. So for example, if I was playing a warrior who's using a longsword, if I get to use strength, because that's the main ability that's using that, and I get to add the heavy blade's focus, because that's the weapon group that longsword is under. The goal is the attack has to beat the target's defense. If it meets or beats the target's defense, then you hit the attack and you do damage. which is equal to the weapon damage plus your strength modifier for all weapons, or perception for weapons that are in the bow group: longbow, crossbow, shortbow. Armor can reduce the incoming damage. Essentially, the idea is, let's say if this longsword, like we're talking about, dealt 10 damage, for example, and the enemy has a armor rating of 4, then 4 damage is reduced from that, so he would take 6. Simple maths. If you ever get doubles on your attack roll, you get to do a special thing. You get to gain stun points, actually, which can be spent on doing cool stunts that are pretty useful and can give you an advantage in combat. And these can be things like pushing people away, doing more damage, piercing their armor, you name it. That is the most general thing. That's the most common thing you'll probably do with a major action, is you just do the attack action. But there are some variations into attack actions. For example, there is the all-out attack action, which is also a major action, which allows you, if you're attacking a target, a melee target, and you decide to go all out, you get to add an additional +1 to damage if you hit the target, but will suffer -1 to your defense even if you hit or miss. So no matter what, you will take -1 defense if you take an all-out attack, hit or miss. But you do get to do a bit more damage. Another major action you can take that's also with the melee action is the charge action, which with this ability you can move up to half your speed, whatever that will be, in yards of course, rounded down, and make a melee attack with a +1 bonus to attack roll, as you're kind of using momentum to charge in and swing your weapon. And this can all be done with a melee action. Though attacking is not the only action you can do with a major action. There are many other major actions you can do that are outside of attacking. You can do, for example, the defend action, which with this action you get a +2 bonus to your defense until the beginning of your next turn. The heal action allows you to use bandages on someone to heal them. Of course, you need to have bandages out on them, and you need to be adjacent to someone. And what you have to do is you need to make a cunning healing roll, a cunning healing focus roll, and you're trying to be target number 11 to heal them. If you succeed, that ally that you've healed will heal a number of health equal to the dragon die plus your cunning that you have. If you fail, nothing happens and you waste the bandages. And it should be noted that once you do the heal action, you cannot use the heal action again on the same person who's been bandaged. You can only heal them again if they've taken a hit. So keep that in mind. The last of the major actions you can do outside of those is the run action. The run action allows you to move double your speed in yards, essentially just going a full sprint towards wherever you're going. Like I said, you can only take one major action on your turn, or if you don't feel like taking major action, you can, for who knows why you might not need it, you can substitute that major action for a minor action instead, which will now take us to the next list: minor actions. Minor actions consist of many small abilities you can use that can be helpful in combat. The first of them, the most common you might be using, is the move action, where you can move up to your current speed, of course, in yards. You can also go prone, stand up, or mount up a horse or vehicle, but to do this you need to use half your speed to do so, rounded down, of course. If you're prone and you want to crawl, you can do so, but you can only move half your speed. Another important minor action that you can do is the activate action, which might come in useful. The activate action is the ability where you can activate certain powers and items that you have, whether it's fighting styles or some usable items like potions or abilities or weapon abilities, whatever you name it. The aim action is a quite simple ability. You get to add a +1 bonus to your next attack roll, melee or ranged, whatever that would be. Guard up is it's like a defend action, but instead for a minor action. You can give yourself a +1 bonus, +1 or a +2 bonus till the end of the round, your choice, but you will suffer an equal penalty on all tests you make until guard up is finished. You can only take this action before you have taken the major action. So keep that in mind. And you can take the major action, minor action in any order you wish, of course. So I forgot to mention, but if you want to take the guard up action, you have to do it before the major action. The next action is a combination of a minor and a major action. It's a bit of a weird one. It's called the prepare action. And with this, you get to pick one major action you want to take, any of the previous major actions that I mentioned, and then you will end your turn. And when you essentially then at any time until the next before your turn goes, your next turn, you can use that action you have interrupting another character's turn to do that action. So for example, you can prepare a ranged attack, for example, and then let's say it's the enemy's turn and they take a move. You can then say, alright, I'm going to use my ranged attack that I prepared, and you do that. You can then do another minor action which could be helpful, the press the attack action. With this minor action you can essentially follow an enemy when they try to retreat. With it you can essentially choose an AG as an enemy until the beginning of your next turn. If that enemy moves away from you, you may immediately move up to your speed in yards following that enemy. You can only do this action if you struck that enemy with a melee attack. A common action that I think I forgot to mention, I'll have to mention right now, is the ready action, where you can unsheath a weapon or pull an item out that has been stowed. You can only do you can also at the same time stow any other item you have on you if you have it. And then the last minor action you can do is the stand firm action, which can force enemies that take a skirmish or a knock prone stunt against you that they have to make an opposed test of strength might versus your choice of your own strength might or dexterity acrobatics. If they fail, those stunts become useless. Essentially they wasted as they've been wasted since you blocked them away from trying to push you or knock you down. And those are all the actions that any character can take on their turn. Hopefully they've been simple. I've simplified them enough so you guys can understand it. A lot of these actions will be used in combat. Some might not be able to be used, but hopefully this has been giving you a general idea of how they work. Now, a question you might probably be going is, what happens if my character reaches 0 health or HP reaches 0 or less? Well, when a PC gets dropped, essentially reaching either 0 or even less than 0 HP, which in this case is still 0 no matter what, then they are considered bleeding out, and they have a number of rounds until they die. These number of rounds equal to 2 plus Constitution. And the idea is so essentially if I have a character with a Constitution of 2, I have 4 rounds to survive from bleed out. And once the last round has been taken, no one's helped me up, then you're dead. Then I died. Or you die if you have happened to be that character. A character can also be killed if they're at 0 HP while they're bleeding out, and if another character, an enemy usually, performs a coup de grace action, which requires a normal attack action, melee or ranged. If it is melee, it is done automatically, while ranged, though, requires an attack roll against a defense 10, because they're knocked prone on the ground. Non-player characters, when they usually reach 0 health, they tend to die, but the GM can decide that they are instead also slowly bleeding out. Characters can also do non-killing blows if you don't want to kill them. You just knock them out unconscious, and you're only leaving them at 1 health. You just have to announce it to the GM that you're doing that. Characters have been knocked out unconscious recover their consciousness after 2d6 minutes. To keep someone from not bleeding out, you have to heal them before they bleed out. Essentially, their turn runs out. So someone has to heal them with any form of healing, of course. Whatever is the heal action, the healing spells, or anything else. Now, Dragon Age is one of the systems where regaining health is a bit more different than your usual style of D&D, stuff like that. There are a few ways you can regain health, of course. Most times, the healing action can help you, and healing spells and any potions that you have on you. But you can also heal after combat by taking what is called a 5-minute breather, which allows the characters to regain a number of health equal to 5 plus Constitution plus level. You can only take 1 breather after an encounter, though, so you can't spam breathing. You can only do it once when you're done from the combat. If you were 0 health when the combat encounter had ended, though, you cannot take the breather at all. So essentially, if you got winded from the fight and knocked out, you cannot breathe. You cannot rest. You can also heal health, though, after getting a restful sleep for 6 hours, which you will regain a number of health equal to 10 plus Constitution plus level. Now, That means you guys might be probably thinking, so healing is a bit slow down unless you have a mage or like some items or a good healer. Yes, Dragon Age's purpose is essentially you are healing slow. You're not getting a lot of health like in D&D or other systems where, oh, you get to recover everything back up to full after a restful day. Dragon Age does not do that. And Dragon Age instead you only heal number of health, either through resting or through spells and such. Now, sometimes in some fights, this will be important for some games. Some characters might be mounted. There might be mounted combatants, and there's some special rules for this case, which I'll put like some notes over there. But what makes some difference essentially when you're on a mount, you can mount an animal. Like I said, it's a move action. It requires half your speed. When you use the mount, you use and you do a move and run action, you instead use the mount speed. Many mounts, of course, do not have their attacks unless specified, which in this case they act on your turn. When you ever engage in melee combat, you get a +1 bonus on attack roll versus opponents who are on foot. Though this could differ but this might be different for larger monsters or any other enemies with a mount. Enemies can choose to attack you or your mount when they attack you. Yeah, so you have to keep track of your mount's health. Opponents can try to knock you prone by dismounting you, but they have to make a successful dexterity riding test to remain mounted. Target number is equal to 10 plus opponent's strength. And if you fail, you're knocked to the ground and take a d6 penetrating damage and prone. And passengers do not follow the same rules. They're being carried out as you go through. Let me see if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else really. That is how combat works in Dragon Tabletop RPG. That's really it. And I hope that you guys, as you guys seeing it, it was simple, and I simplified it a bit more, and you understood what was going on. But even with me telling you guys how each action works and simplifying it, I still suggest you should take a look at the book and see what the book provides you, because a lot of the book itself has its own the chapters, specific chapter 2 talks about the combat and how actions work. So I highly do suggest you take a look, because I might be wrong in some of these. I'm more giving a simplified version from what I've read from there, so I might make some mistakes for all I know. But yeah. Hopefully that guys was helpful. Thank you for watching. The next time I'm going to be talking about the next tutorial is going to be another important part on the Dragon Age games, and one that a lot of people might be looking forward towards: magic. We're going to see how that works in the next time. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have any questions at all, do post a comment down below and I will do my best to answer it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. See you later.